Welcome to the IREL podcast. Are you sick and tired of real estate gurus pitching their next pre-construction deal, only to find out years later they were completely wrong? Worried the next overseas conference you spend thousands to attend will only be used to sell overpriced lots in deserted developments? Join thousands of other international real estate seekers who are looking for their place in paradise without the sales pitch. Straight from your host, Taylor White.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of the IREL podcast. I'm your host, Taylor White. I can't wait to sit down and speak with Maria Williams from Reliable Realty in Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, and we will get the true story on the Punta Cana real estate scene and have you coming away wanting to investigate its local property market further or cross it off your short list entirely and continue listening. Right now from Maria, you will learn why someone who was born and raised in Grand Rapids, Michigan, ended up with her husband Todd in the Dominican Republic and couldn't be happier with their decision. The reasons she decided to move her full-service real estate business to Punta Cana after the 2008 crisis and how their transition has been. Breaks down the exact areas she is recommending her clients to buy in today and why local cost per square meters aren't needed. Reveals the most important consideration when selecting a local real estate professional when property hunting and much more. And don't forget, if you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Maria's contact details, links on buying or selling Punta Cana real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/16. That's irelpodcast.com/16. Enjoy a nice Brugal and Coke, maybe some French food, and take out a pen and paper to jot down some notes. In case you can't tell, I'm excited. Let's get Maria on the phone. Hey Maria, it's Taylor White. I'm excited to have you on the IREL podcast today, straight from Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. So we can get to know you personally. Tell us about yourself and where your stomping grounds were before you ended up in PC.
Hi, Taylor. My husband and I, Todd, are both originally from the Grand Rapids, Michigan area where we were both born and raised. We currently own and operate a small but fast-growing Dominican registered and incorporated real estate agency right dab in the center of the happening tourist expat hub of Punta Cana. We're known here as the Todd Maria Show. I'm the real estate broker, and Todd is the property manager. We find this is a perfect combination for our primarily North American, smart but hardworking baby boomer clientele. Our clientele are specifically looking to buy an investment property now while they can still afford it, and perhaps say 5-10 years just before they plan to retire. They plan to leverage it in the interim as a vacation home to at least pay the cost of ownership. And right now our agency represents about 150 select and best what we call titled real estate listings in the hot spot investment area of Punta Cana. We have awards. One of our award winning is through our property management side of the business. We currently represent about 65 rental properties, most of which I did sell. We offer full services in all aspects and services to over 3,000 vacationers a year, primarily during high season, the tourist months of December through early April. Many of our vacationers are now repeaters and happy to find a different vacation option other than the same old all-inclusive resort scene. And Punta Cana certainly has it. We have 47 resorts along a 30-mile coastline, beautiful sandy coastline. So this is giving them some other options. These happy and repeaters are now becoming our next round of future buyers. Todd and I make a perfect team, and we feel blessed that we came just at the right time to build our business from the ground up. Although at the time when we first came in 2008, it certainly didn't seem like we were here at the right time.
Absolutely fantastic, Maria. And so we can get a better idea of you professionally, give us your brief resume leading up to opening Reliable Realty in 2008, shortly after the major crisis.
Okay, Todd's background. A little bit about Todd. He's in tool and die manufacturing. He's not here to represent himself. And I feel since we are the Todd Maria Show, I better put a little plug in for my husband as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Todd's he's kind of a hands-on kind of guy from the rural area of Grand Rapids. When we met, Todd drove midget cars. He was into enduro motorcycles, which, by the way, he still does here. He had a German Shepherd, which he absolutely adored, and was a seasoned boater. Of course, in Lake Michigan, lots of lakes over there, which is, we're both obviously water people. Todd's kind of that tough Russell Crowe gladiator personality. He has that attitude, and it's really quite in contrast to my cheerleading suburban upbringing out in Jenison, Michigan. Let's see, after Todd's 40-hour job as a tool and die shop maker in Michigan, he also owned property and managed about 14 units in the metro area of his stomping grounds. Todd can fix just about everything, which is really helpful when we moved in this area, especially starting the property management side of the business. My background is in customer service and international marketing. This was a field, though unfortunately in 2003, our conservative Michigan hometown of Grand Rapids was not quite ready to embrace, especially in reference to minorities, and I am. Even myself, a person whose mom is from Puerto Rico, but then spoke no Spanish, went back to college again after my kids were grown and left home, 2 different times actually, on 2 different occasions. I played some important project management positions in Michigan and then went into the real estate market in Michigan. So collectively, my experience has been extremely beneficial, I'm finding, in Punta Cana, which is an area with lots of diversity and where everyone seems to get along in this small but vibrant international melting pot. We commonly call it, in fact, here in Punta Cana, we call it our own mini United Nations representation. So I met Todd back in 1994. At that time, we both worked for a respectable mid-sized packaging company. Todd, at that time, was a tool and die shop manager. I was a project manager. Our positions provided us the opportunity to meet every morning in the big production meeting. It's kind of funny how this kind of carries over into our role today. It's still kind of consistent with me. At that time, we had a meeting. There were about 24 managers, and every manager, of course, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, being a Dutch conservative community, which I still love and adore, but everybody was always on time. But, of course, myself being half Latin, I was always 5 to 10 minutes late for the meeting, which is how Todd met me, because he's very German and very structured, and it used to just annoy the crap out of him. Excuse me, but it was unbelievable. I was always prepared, though, and that seems to have followed through even here. I had about 120 accounts that I was in charge of, and it went all the way through the production process. So it was very, very, very rare that I was unprepared, and Todd was pretty impressed with that. So we ended up dating a little bit, got married we actually got together in 1999, married in 2002. We got married in the backyard of our beautiful home in Hudsonville, Michigan at that time. Wow, what else can I say? After about 4 months, wow, how we ended up here. About 4 months after Todd's position with his company, that particular company, after 21 years of service, his position was originally restructured and then eliminated. And we seem to find that tended to be the case, especially back in that time and even more so today. So at that time, of course, we were very devastated, but we kept trudging along. Todd found another job. I ended up getting into real estate through Century 21 Excel in Jenison, Michigan at that time. At that time, again, in the year 1990, let's say in the year 2005, it was extremely a short sale and foreclosure market, just starting to wind up into that. So got into real estate, ended up becoming a short sale queen, but decided there's no way I like this, shoveling driveways before showings, dealing with the banks on short sale and foreclosure properties, and I said there's just got to be a better way. So I ended up, Todd and I talked each other into pulling the plug and saying, this is it. We just need to really, go for our dreams right now. So what we did was we did a lot of traveling. We went all over different Caribbean destinations and decided on Punta Cana. So that's kind of how we ended up here. We started out rough here, but 2008, of course, being the collapse. I know we came in, Todd came before me. I came about 2 months after him. I remember still closing 4 sales in Michigan at that time while I was on the plane. Got here in Punta Cana, and as soon as I got here, Todd said, I'm going back home. There's just no way we can make it here. It was a really tough market. The domino effect of the 2008 crisis had really affected the world, and we had no idea how quickly that affected the whole world with everything based on the U.S. dollar. So it took me a good 11 months to make my very first sale here in Punta Cana. but just enough to give me enough confidence for us to keep trudging forward, even though it was a really down market internationally. And we just kept trudging at it, and here we are today with one of the fastest growing real estate companies in the Punta Cana area.
Wow, Maria, love the detailed background. Now, we are getting more familiar with who you are, both on a personal and professional level. Let's start to dig into your journey just a little bit. Take us back to your mindset. What were some of the reasons why you decided to look at other countries to begin with years ago, and then maybe which countries you were considering before choosing the Dominican Republic?
Well, I think that I have a natural antenna for speculating different markets. It was something I was gifted with even doing real estate, selling real estate in the United States. I know everybody used to look at me at that time and say, wow, you've really got a good grasp of the market conditions and what's going on. So it kind of carried through to the Punta Cana area. It took me a little bit, of course, being a foreigner here, especially being a female in a very male-dominated country. But I just really had a feel for it. So what we did, Todd and I, is we narrowed down our best options, and those were, at that time, Costa Rica, Panama, a little bit Mexico, but also Puerto Rico. I wanted to give that a shot, even though it was part of the United States, because that's where my mother's originally from. So what we did, we traveled all over different destinations. We actually did the hands-on, on-site visitation. We didn't land here in Punta Cana by accident. It was definitely something that was thought through. I almost took a position in Panama, but at that time, right after I had pretty much accepted the position, the government of Panama decided there were too many, let's just say, unethical real estate going on in Panama. So they really made it very difficult for a foreigner to come in at that time and start a business. So it was very challenging, lots of details on that. But basically decided Panama was not for us, went to Costa Rica, really felt the infrastructure still wasn't there. We'd visited there a few times before and really didn't see a whole lot of change, so I wasn't feeling the progress there. Traveled to Dominican Republic, started on the north coast, traveled all around the Dominican Republic, and really just kept finding, Todd and I found ourselves being navigated back to the Punta Cana area. And just a ton of reasons why. I mean, it could go on and on and on, but those reasons ended up becoming, let's say, my marketing campaign for my baby boomer clients that are coming here to buy property. And it's really helped a lot to know, for them to know that I thoroughly researched the markets, that I personally went to these countries, experienced it firsthand, and thus the reason that I decided on Punta Cana. It really helps with my clients when they're also considering other areas. Not saying those areas there's anything wrong with it, it just wasn't for me. I wanted to really start out extremely aggressive with my company, with our real estate company, and so I chose what I felt was the best and what looked like the best market and opportunity that could really, really grow within a 5-year period.
Fantastic, Maria. Listeners and I are always fascinated to learn about which countries people have considered and why. Now, let's delve deeper into the DR as a whole, and then why you chose Punta Cana, or more specifically, El Cortecito and Los Corrales in particular, versus other popular Caribbean locations.
Well, I'm just actually going to go down right my punch list, because I think that's what listeners probably want to hear anyway. And
Absolutely.
So this is something that, I have on my website as well, and I'm at reliablerealtydr.com. These are really the top punch reasons, and, when I'm with my clients, we go over it as well. Of course, more specifically, I don't just tell them, I show them exactly what I'm talking about. So to start out with, we have some of the most affordable real estate, and we have freehold title with tax exemption incentives. Some of the best beaches in the world with a protective coral reef protecting us from the high waves, sharks, and jellyfish. It's really important to so many of our clients, especially those that watch a little bit too much TV. We have, in my opinion, the perfect geographic location, and it's not just my opinion, it's actually well known across the way. It protects us from hurricanes. In fact, this area is considered by the locals, they call it the Tear of God in Punta Cana, with the Punta Cana area being positioned in a sharp point along the east coast, with Puerto Rico being 85 to 90 miles directly across the west coast of Puerto Rico. When hurricanes do develop, it is my understanding, through some of my clients that actually are into this, that hurricanes, they are looking for land mass. And when they are developing, they're typically going to go down. They're going to hit Cuba, maybe a little bumper off from Puerto Rico. By time they get towards the Dominican Republic, the storms are dissipated to the point that they go to the right or the left of Punta Cana. Yes, Santo Domingo on the south, and yes, Puerto Plata on the north do get some residual tropical storms and may actually get some of the hurricane effects. But Punta Cana, as they say here, the locals, is protected. They consider it the tier of God. They actually say that God owns vacation property here. So anyway,
if God does.
Yeah, that God owns vacation property right here. So when I say the tier of God, it's a tier of joy. So they really sincerely believe that, and so do I. Whenever we get hurricanes developing, I get my family and friends calling from the U.S., and they're all worried because they're looking at, the geographic map on the Weather Channel. And I said, guys, you're going to get hit much worse than us. Trust me, it's going to go right around us. We're not going to be affected by it at all. So that's really extremely important as well, is, of course, the hurricane. Sorry that I had to get into divulge that a little bit more, but it's extremely important for a lot of my buyers here.
Yeah, of course.
We have the consistent warm tropical climate and perfect tropical breezes year-round. When people ask me what's the weather like, to be honest with you, I don't even think about the weather anymore. I say basically same as it was yesterday. So it's beautiful temperatures, anywhere from the low 80s, actually can be high 70s. It depends on the season, and it can get maybe up to around 92. But it's not. We always have a consistent, nice breeze blowing through here. So the weather is always consistently beautiful, even when we get a little rain, which, of course, we have to have in order to feed our beautiful tropical area here. We have the, low crime. We have safe communities. That's always, I probably should put that number 1, 2, or 3. That is definitely a consideration for my buyer clients, is the low crime and the safe communities. And we do. I mean, we brag about it a lot, and I tell people I came from little suburbs in Grand Rapids, Michigan, specifically Jenison, Hudsonville. Yes, very safe town, but I can tell you I feel just as safe here as I do back in those towns. Obviously, there can be crime. There's crime anywhere in the world, so of course you do have to be careful no matter where you are in the world. But it's extremely safe here. We have vacationers and people that roam around this expat area all the time in the Punta Cana area, and it's very nice to be able to leverage that as one of our top reasons for buying property here. We have a lower cost of living. We have direct flights for Canadians, and it's only a 2.5-hour flight from Miami. My parents live in Florida, so that's really important to me. Friendly and sincere Dominican people, and this is so big. I mean, when you ask people, why do you keep coming back here, every single time in my questionnaire, it is always one of the top reasons, because of the Dominican people. They are warm, they are kind, they're sincere, and when they smile, they truly mean it, and that means a lot to me and my clients as well. We have an international melting pot. I touched base on that a little bit. Our melting pot is, everybody here in Punta Cana is from all over the world. It's not uncommon at all to go sit in a bakery somewhere and sit around having your coffee and to hear 14, 15 languages going on at the same time. And everybody just gets along. It's a beautiful melting pot of a lot of expats from all over the world, and we love that. Let's see what else. We have numerous international dining options, and that kind of goes hand in hand with a melting pot. When we have a French restaurant, it's truly French cuisine run by French people. Same thing with Italian. We have a very strong Italian community right here in Punta Cana as well, and that's specifically called the Los Corrales area. We have actually a stable government. We know that governments all over the world can be, let's just say, governments, and there's no exception to the rule here, but I have to say the Dominican government as a whole, we have no enemies here. We're kind of like the Canadians. We're just kind of non-confrontational, and that's a really good feeling to know that you're living or buying property in a country that really has no enemies. We have an excellent and safe bank investment options. I can't even go into that, but I'm just going to touch base that we do have excellent and safe banking options here. It's an amazing modern infrastructure mixed with our quaint Caribbean communities. We have new and we have some of the quaint Caribbean all mixed together. Some of the new infrastructure here is definitely more on the modern side, but we still maintain a lot of that cute Caribbean feel with the little local mom and pop shops all along the way as well, which is a really nice feeling and reminds you that you are in the Caribbean. Let's see, we have infrastructure is phenomenal. I mean, much more advanced than I even expected it to be. We just finished our new highways running through. We have sidewalks everywhere now, paved roads. It's just a real happening hub. It's just unbelievable how fast this area is growing. In fact, I get on the highway one day. If I wait 2 days, the highway has already changed, already adding another portion to it. The construction is unbelievable. Brazilian company got the contract here, and the highways have definitely opened up a lot of activity in this area for sure. We have, affordable health care and excellent hospitals. It's extremely important for my baby boomer clients. They're all within my age category between, say, 40, 45 and, say, 62. And, of course, health care is extremely important to them, even though I do find that most of my clients are very young acting. They travel a lot. They very similar to myself and my husband. They still, of course, we are always concerned about health care and hospital. We have some of the best here, and that's a whole other show right there. It's still a land of opportunity for smart investors and entrepreneurs. I can just put a list together. I get people all the time of things we still need here. So it's really a land of opportunity for somebody that has some decent, a decent capital and really wants to invest in this country. The government opens their arms to foreign investors, which is fantastic, and it's extremely easy. In fact, you can open a business here before you even get your residency, which is just fantastic. The government embraces that kind of thing. We have gorgeous and diverse terrain, absolutely amazing. I just did another road trip just a couple of days ago, and every time I take a road trip, I am just amazed at what I see here. Just some of the most beautiful waterfalls, the mountains, the hills. I mean, Punta Cana is flatter, of course, because we are known for the white, soft, sandy beaches, but the terrain here, whatever you want, you can get, from whitewater water rafting to, more of desert areas to, just amazing terrain all through the country. So, and finally, I think we have tranquility here. We have a lot to see and a lot to do for all ages, but still it combines it with the ability to live in the Caribbean and live a really tranquil life that most of my clients are looking for, to kind of just let their hair down after working so hard for so long and be able to live in a place that they're accepted and there's just can relax and be tranquil.
Wow, Maria. It sounds like Punta Cana has it all and is an awesome destination offering amazing beaches and a true Caribbean lifestyle full of things to do, see, and enjoy. Through my travels, I am a firm believer in that I either get a place or I don't. Share with us some reasons why Punta Cana speaks to you.
I can't speak for Todd, but for me it has to do with the culture and my deep driving need to feel like I fit in somewhere. Like many mixed Americans today, I was still considered a minority living in a conservative Dutch religious community. Nothing against that. I'm extremely spiritual myself. Where I was born, though, and raised in the 60s and 70s, it was a little challenging back in those times. It's where I raised my kids in the 80s and 90s. And my mother, being a natural ancestry from Spain and then Puerto Rico in the U.S., she met my dad. My dad's German, Dutch, and Welsh. A little smidgen of French, too. However, where I was raised in the white suburbia area, it was actually a kind of sad, a better idea for my mom not to teach us Spanish, although this was her first language. I think that, and I really strongly believe that if I had grown up in a bigger, more liberal city, being half Latino would not have been as challenging as it was when I was growing up. So overall, I guess I'm trying to say that being here in Punta Cana is really, and I didn't even realize this kind of came later as I was here just feeling very comfortable in my zone. I really realized that I feel like I belong here. When I sold real estate in Michigan, as sad as it was, I had to go by the name Marie because people aren't really seeing your face, and I do look a little Latina as well. But I had to go by Maria in my conservative area because I knew that if I went by Maria, they wouldn't call me because they think, oh, she represents a Hispanic district. So, and that's not true. I don't even speak Spanish. So I actually went by Marie. My colleagues still in real estate in Michigan still think my name is Marie. So imagine how wonderful it is to still be a half-breed, but be in a culture that speaks to that other side, that more Latina side, that I can just naturally be who I am. I can have billboards out there that say Maria and not Marie. And, it's just everybody knows me here by Maria Williams. It's a really strong name here because it kind of mixes that Williams with the Maria. And it just feels really good to fit into an area that I don't have to fight for who I am and what I can do and what I can achieve based off my nationality. It just feels really, really good. I, in fact, recently had my 35-year class reunion in Michigan at downtown Grand Rapids. I was really impressed to be there. The town has just really boomed. And it was my 35-year of Jennison, class of 1978. And it was just amazing to see some of my old friends. I know when you're growing up and you're kind of with your friends in high school and even in college, everybody kind of, falls into this I don't know what you call it, they feel like they have to be into this clique or this. It was so good. I was the only female that actually went there stag, because Todd and I cannot travel, unfortunately, together based on our business. Somebody has to be here still to run. We're just so busy, has to run it. But it really felt good to get back with my old high school classmates, and they were just so impressed and so intrigued and wanted to know so much about what I was doing in Dominican Republic. And it just felt really good to reconnect with my classmates. And apparently, when I was leaving, I found out that the 40th class reunion is going to be in Punta Cana, unbeknownst to me. So,
oh, wow.
That they're all, yes, 40th class reunion. So anyway, for me, getting back to your original question, Taylor, it just feels really good to be in a place I really, truly feel at home. And it's not just me. I think a lot of people feel that way, whether they have Latino in them or Latino or whatever. People just feel really, really like they belong here because it's such a welcoming area, Punta Cana.
Okay, Maria, now it's time for us to pick your brain on the local real estate scene. And to get the juices flowing, we're going to do a quick round of what I like to call the real estate hot seat. We'll ask you 5 rapid-fire questions, and you give me an answer in 15 seconds or less each. Maria, are you ready for the Punta Cana hot seat?
I am ready, Taylor.
What currency is real estate priced in?
It is priced in Dominican peso, but dollar is commonly accepted. But, of course, it goes a lot further if you change your dollar into peso.
Is owning property as a foreigner legal?
Completely. One of the reasons I chose here, unlike other Caribbean areas, all properties here are freehold, meaning owners get title in their names, and they get it now much quicker than it was 5 years ago when I first came.
Can money flow in and out of the DR easily, or are there currency restrictions?
It depends on what the other governments are at this time pushing on the Dominican Republic as well as other Caribbean areas, and how steadfast the Dominicans are at just saying no. But right now, yes, it's very easy. We really have no currency restrictions other than the amount maybe and proving that it is a real estate transaction, but no different than anywhere else, I would suspect, in the world.
And as listeners know, Maria, my number one question, what is your favorite local drink?
It's Cuba Libre con limon, which is kind of funny because Cuba Libre is free Cuba, so I'm not sure how they end up here in Dominican Republic. But I love Cuba Libre. My friends know me. In fact, I'm not trying to sound like I'm a drunk, but when I go to a bar, they all know to get my Cuba Libre con limon, which is basically rum, Coke, and I love the rum of the country here, Brugal, my favorite, with lime, lots of lime. Love it.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, Maria, you can now relax, but just a little bit, as you are off the Punta Cana hot seat. But it's time to zero in on the local real estate scene. Give us your brief synopsis on the Punta Cana real estate market over the last few years, where it is today, and then where you see it heading for the next few years.
Wow. The Punta Cana real estate market is so booming. I'm going to get off track here a little bit, but I'll get right back on again. I wrote a book called, at the original time of the writing, it was called, and this is going to kind of sum it all up, it was called Punta Cana Insider Tips. Getting Around Punta Cana Insider Tips was the original name. And what it started out was just a template to FNQs for my clients that kept asking the same questions all over again. And a lot of our vacationers here as well that wanted to know what they could do here. At that time, it started out as a 7-page FAQ. It is now a full-fledged book. It's called Punta Cana Revealed. To be honest with you, I haven't had time to finish the 11th edition. But in a nutshell, what that book did was it kept me really alerted to what's going on in the market. And thank goodness I wrote the book not at the time having any idea that how beneficial it was going to be, not only as a marketing tool, but also as my antenna for this area and continually watching the growth here. But that book is now 120 pages long. My publicist through Amazon is really upset because they have a lot of requests for this book called Punta Cana Revealed, and it's just not done because I'm too busy selling real estate, which is, of course, my number one priority and what, of course, I make the income to support my office here. So anyway, with that, it's just unbelievable the growth that has gone on in the last 5 years since we've been here, and anywhere from a 7-page to now 120 pages just gives you a real eye-opener as to what's going on here and why this market is so much on the hot track. That book has really helped me to really leverage and to keep very much in track of what's going on in the Punta Cana area. And I really lost track of your original question. I said I was going to get back to that, but I got lost on a tangent.
No worry. You answered it perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
I will sum it up. Get the book.
Get the book. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not ready yet, so you'll be in line, and my publicist would be even madder at me. So, but that's okay. I'll get it done.
Maria, you have us sold on the DR as a country, Punta Cana as a city, and then this real estate outlook within the near future. Of course, you don't have a crystal ball. I sure as heck don't. No one does. But that is why I think it's so vitally important to get on-the-ground insight from local real estate professionals. And yes, I just use the words local and on-the-ground in the same sentence to drive home a very important fact. Maria, you and Todd are not some newsletter writers who might spend a few days in Punta Cana and then send out emails with hot buys, calling yourself international real estate gurus. You are there in the trenches on a daily basis, dealing with local buyers, sellers, agents, lawyers, and every facet of the real estate business. Maria, break this down even further for us. Pretend you are Google Maps or Google Street View. What streets, neighborhoods, or parts of the city are we talking about in Punta Cana?
Specifically, I'm talking about the Los Corrales and the El Cortocito area. This is where the hot, booming area is. If you Google Maps as far as streets, to be honest with you, Taylor, we don't really have streets. I mean, there's street names, but nobody really uses them in this area. We kind of like it that way as well because we don't actually get junk mail. But I would say, El Cortocito and Los Corrales area are the booming areas. When I came 5 years ago, people would not even refer to it as El Cortocito and Los Corrales. It was strictly either Bávaro or Punta Cana. So when I started mine, I really broke that down into letting people know the exact hub area as to where we have 30 dining options, where we have the most affordable real estate, where we have the new condos with the high finishing everything, the ones that are 7-minute walk to the beach as well as those that are right on the beach. So we're specifically talking about the El Cortocito and Los Corrales area. It's two towns that are back to back. Probably you can walk from one side to the other. It takes you maybe 20 minutes. So if there's two towns together, that is really considered the hub of Punta Cana. It's where the expats are, where all the vacation rental properties are. It's where the bulk of my sales happen is right here in this area. And so, yeah, this would be it. If you had to do the geographic picture, that would be it for sure.
Okay, Maria, now that we have specific locations in mind, what types of properties do you recommend?
Well, I recommend a lot of different properties. I'd like to start leveraging on this radio show and start selling a few more villas, but that will come in time. The properties that I sell right now are specifically vacation homes. I would say probably about 8 out of 10 of my sales are specifically vacation homes. These are baby boomers. These are Canadians, Americans, maybe some from the UK as well as European that speak English. Maybe they have businesses in the United States or Canada, so they have a great understanding of how we North Americans operate. That's primarily my client market. And what they do is that they're buying a vacation home now. They're spending anywhere from, say, $150,000 to maybe average, probably $250,000, maybe $300,000. Whether on the beach closer to $300,000, of course, across the street from the beach, being closer to the $150,000, maybe $200,000. That's where they're doing it. They are buying these properties now. They're leveraging them as vacation homes now until they can retire in, say, 5 to 10 years. So specifically, it is what we have is modern infrastructure. Our condos are brand spanking new. They go through a lot of rigorous, in order to get permits, these developers have to provide the permits. They have to provide master plans. And I don't accept or work with any developers that do not specifically can prove this to me when I'm leveraging this to my clients. I want to know these developers are reputable, that they're applying for the permits, that their master plans have been approved, because if they're not, it doesn't get title, and all that does is cause a lot of grief for me later on, and I certainly don't want that. When I say we're a company that represents titled property, I want to make sure I say that with 100% confidence. And so that's what we're talking about, brand new infrastructure. I would say our buildings are anywhere from brand spanking new, still under construction, pre-construction, very safe with reliable realty, because I do all the test market first. Anywhere from, say, the Los Corrales area, which is a little bit older, one of the original towns. It is a true Italian Mediterranean area, and that's probably around 14 to 17 years old. So combined together, brand spanking new to maybe no more than 17 years old.
And as a transition, and to be perfectly clear for listeners, are we talking about buying pre-construction units for capital appreciation that we flip? Are we talking about buying completed apartments, houses, or office spaces to generate rental income? Or are we talking about buying land to either sell as is or subdivide into smaller tracts? Maria, give us a better idea of what you are talking about and recommending today.
Well, there's certainly opportunity for all those areas as well. But being, only so many people in our company, we've grown 4 times already. It's really important that I really focus on our niche market at the time, the one that's really bringing in the most inquiries, the most responses. So specifically, I really had to kind of narrow in on what the need is. Yes, I represent land. Yes, I represent villas. Yes, I represent office space, commercial, even hotels. I'm working with some investor groups right now on a hotel, and those are fantastic. But that's not my primary market. My primary market are baby boomers looking between $150,000 to say $250,000, $300,000. They're looking for a second home, vacation home, leverage it as a vacation rental, get that nice income in the interim. So that's really the focus market I want to focus in on. I am already in the process right now of hiring other agents that can focus in more on other niche markets, but specifically that's where I am because I am that person. When my clients come to me, they're exactly like me. These are, doctors and lawyers, even bankers, and they're teachers and accountants and engineers and business owners, small business owners, even mid-sized business owners. They share like-kind interests just like me. We have about the same income. We have pretty much the same type of lifestyle. We love to travel. We have a lot in common. And that's where I feel that I can do my best for them is because it's something I wish that I would have had a real estate agent just like me kind of concept. When I came to Punta Cana, it was tough when we first came. I would have loved to meet somebody like me to just kind of hold my hand and really set me on the fast pace and in the right direction. So that's what I am, and that's what we do is we really focus on that specific niche market, although I certainly want to make sure that listeners know that we cover all aspects. If you want land, if you want commercial space, we certainly also represent those as well.
Okay, Maria, a lot of great information and numbers, but now I'm going to hit you up with a 2-part question that I know everyone wants to know, and you have to give us a general range so we have some price points in mind. Here they are. Part 1, what would be the price range of what we are talking about? Maybe give us a starting price point at the low end to a final price point at the high end, and Maria, just to clarify, I am talking about total purchase price.
Okay, so total purchase price, let's see, I would say we're talking between $150,000, 2-bedroom across the street from the beach, 7-minute walk to the beach, maybe about a 9-10 minute walk to the commercial area where you're getting the plazas and the restaurants, etc. So that's pretty much you're talking about $150,000. That could be fully furnished, may not be. Anywhere from $150 to say $200 is going to get you a really, really nice 2-bedroom, say approximately 1,200 to 1,500 square feet. If you're talking on the beach, of course, it's a totally different market. You just multiply by 2, sometimes 3, and you can get that same property on the beach with ocean view. I say the same, although those properties on the beach tend to be a little bit smaller in size, but that's primarily what we're talking about here. Condominiums on the beach, around 2-bedroom, around the $300,000, $350,000 range. Condominiums, 2-bedrooms across the street from the beach, 7-minute walk to the beach. We're talking around the $150,000 to say $200,000 range, and so that's pretty much the market that we're focusing in on here.
And Maria, as a transition to a part 2, what would be the cost per meter? Again, maybe a starting price point at the low end and a final price point at the high end, just for a general range.
To be honest with you, Taylor, I know this is going to sound really strange because a lot of realtors and brokers use those costs per square meter, but we don't really use them here because here it's really based off the property itself. It is rare, in fact, for me as to deal with a client that they say, what is the cost per square meter or per square foot? I'm not saying that some of my mathematicians or accountants or, these guys that are really into the math aren't calculating it in their own head. And I'm not saying that I can't do that myself. To be honest with you, it's really the feel of the property that we represent and show to our clients. And it's rare that we ever have to go by per square meter or per square foot because it's more of what they're looking for and what they love and what they fall in love with. So it's really difficult to say that. So I guess giving you the range of, say, $150,000 to up to, say, $350,000 for a 2-bedroom, you can probably do your math in itself right there alone.
Maria, this is a question I like to call, what would Grandma do? My grandma calls you up, says she has X amount of dollars to spend. You know, you can't let my grandma down. Share with us 3 specific examples you would show her and explain why these make sense.
If it's your grandma, for certain, Taylor, we would probably want to make sure that we're talking about a condominium unit that provides elevators, that it's going to be very easy, maybe some concierge services. We do have some condominium communities here now, especially the ones across the street from the beach that are competing with those on the beach. And I find that most of my buyers are buying those. So for Grandma, I would recommend that she get into one of these condominiums across the street from the beach where you're going to have concierge services on site. You're going to have your own restaurant on site. You're going to have, a resort-like swimming pool, very relaxed, and you're going to, food can be delivered to your condo. Something that's going to make it very easy for your grandma so she can just chill and relax by the pool and enjoy the services just like she would in a resort, but actually owning her own piece of property.
Maria, we are laser focused on specific areas of Punta Cana. We know our starting price point. We have 3 specific examples which are good enough even for Grandma. Now let me ask you an obvious question. What's the most important consideration when buying?
Most important consideration when buying, I think it's really important that you work with a reputable real estate agency, and I can't stress that enough. And it's not that I'm trying to leverage myself. I don't need to. We're pretty busy already. But there are still, agencies or agents that you just do really need to be careful no matter where you purchase, especially in the Caribbean. So I think it's important to do the research on the person, on the agency, read the testimonials, go through a little bit of your own homework before you decide to work with somebody. Being a brand name doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot anywhere in the Caribbean. And so, don't overlook, I guess, the mom and pop names like Reliable Realty or some of the other names. You'll probably find that you're going to get more personal one-on-one service with a non-brand name agency than you would maybe with a brand. But not saying that anything bad about that, but certainly I think it's important to really, really, really research who you're buying that property with and making sure that you're in contact with people that have maybe purchased through that you're going to get title. Our company, for example, I think we're one of the only maybe that has 0 grievances and no lawsuits. That's really tough in a Caribbean market because, of course, even competition alone, would maybe like to have you in a position where, that news is out that you do have a grievance or lawsuit. And we don't. We proudly hold our head up high as an agency. I'd say small agency, but we're really growing quite fast as being reputable and providing to our clients exactly what we would expect if we were buying through somebody. So do unto others as you would do unto yourself, I guess, philosophy. So I think that's really important when you're looking, probably number one, when you're looking for property in the Caribbean.
And then I wanted to dig just a bit deeper. Do we need to come in with all cash, whether that's from our checking account, home equity line of credit, or retirement funds?
It's highly recommended that you just come in with the cash, and that specifically, as you said, yes. Typically, my clients, they're coming into their 401ks or IRAs, or in Canada, their funds as well, their retirement funds, or a line of equity, or something that they can liquidate easy. Trying to go through a bank here, I just don't deal with that anymore. The banks don't need to do mortgages here. It is a booming market. They really don't want to be honest with you, waste the time in doing a bank loan here. Additionally, the bank loans here are around the 9%. They may not be fixed. It could be variable. And to be honest with you, I just really don't have the time, or my staff doesn't have the time to work with somebody through the process of a bank loan because it's just so cumbersome, takes a long time, and it really is probably distracting us from buyers that actually have cash, whether it be cash that they, liquidated some assets or whether cash on hand. So really, if you want to get in the market here, you'd have to come in with cash because it really is not a buyer's market. It is more of a seller's market here, to be honest. So it's who has the most and who has the cash. Cash is king, is going to get those properties at the lower prices. A lot of developers don't even offer financing here anymore, which used to be an option because it's just such a booming market. We know things are going to turn very quickly.
Okay, Maria, anyone who has ever owned real estate can tell you need to have a money exit strategy in place even before you buy. It's something what I like to call, where's the cheddar? You are buying the property to do what with it to make some money. So, Maria, where's my cheddar?
Your cheddar is, as we mentioned before, is going to be in leveraging your property as a vacation rental property. What a vacation rental property has here the option to make on a weekly basis is what you would expect to pay on a monthly basis. So let's say a 2-bedroom, you're buying it across the street, 7-minute walk to the beach, 9-minute walk to the plaza shopping area where you have your modern groceries and all your dining options. So basically getting into that type of property, the cheddar. Where is the cheddar? Cheddar is going to be leveraged as a vacation rental. Make, say, on a 2-bedroom, say $700, $800 a week. You're going to be getting through high season probably 23 to 26 weeks that we can pretty much guarantee that you're going to have income that not only pays the cost of ownership, but it's also going to pay, in most cases, give them a lot of cash. In fact, all of the 60-some properties that we manage, all of them, the income that they make, if they're leveraged on the vacation rental market anyway, make enough to pay the cost of ownership, but most of them make a lot more than that off that vacation rental property. So that's really nice for our clients. They can come down. They don't have to bring cash. They can just, go access their cash maybe in a bank account they set up here, which is very easy to do. And they can just live off that money there, maybe take their $9,999 back with them. Per person.
Right.
Yeah. So that's really where your money is. That's where your cheddar is leveraging it as that. What that does is it gives me as an agency the opportunity later, let's say you bought a 1-bedroom and you want to later upgrade to a 2-bedroom because maybe you couldn't afford a 2-bedroom at that time. Now it gives you the opportunity, because it's already an existing vacation rental property, for me to leverage it as such. When that buyer comes in, it's already turnkey ready. It's already got rental income on the books. It belongs to the new buyer at close, and it's just easy. They don't have to do anything, especially in a foreign country. They don't have to worry about furnishing it. They don't have to worry about anything. Property management's in place. Everything's turnkey ready. So that's really what's going on with the market right now. We're seeing a lot of my owners that bought, say, 4 years ago, maybe a 1-bedroom, they're now navigating into a 2-bedroom or 2-bedroom into a 3-bedroom, and it makes everything just so nice here because they're already existing properties that already have really good property management services, really nice ROIs, and just that's where I would highly suggest where the cheddar is just leveraging it until you can retire and enjoy that home by yourself without having to rent it out.
Wow, Maria, extremely detailed, and I wanted to thank you for taking the time to share with us about Punta Cana Real Estate. We have heard about your journey, why you chose the DR, exact areas of Punta Cana to focus on, price points to look out for, specific examples good enough even for grandma, a money strategy to purchase, and then what we might do with it after the fact to make some cheddar. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye. But before we do, share with us easy ways to get a hold of you, any parting advice you might want to share, and then let's say goodbye.
All right. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you for the opportunity. And sorry, everybody, for getting off on a few tangents there. I just get very passionate and excited about what I do here. I am, again, Maria Williams. I am with Reliable Realty DR, and we are found at www.reliablerealtydr.com, and make sure you spell reliable right. That's reliable, and realty is only 2 syllables, realty. ReliableRealtyDR.com. I can be reached by my email if you want to email me personally at mariaw@reliablerealtydr.com. That's mariaw@reliablerealtydr.com. You can reach me by phone by calling 1-809-552-0898. That's 1-809-552-0898. So very easy to get a hold of me. You can go to my website, Reliable Realty. There's also Contact Me. That's probably the best way. Fill out that brief little questionnaire so I know a little bit more about you and can immediately shoot some really good suggestions your way or answer your questions that you might have. So that's probably the best way. I would say 90% of my inquiries come from my website. You'll find it very informative with a lot of information about the buying process, why we're here, everything else about us. It has been a website that has been developed even before I came to this country and just been developed on since then. You'll love it.
Awesome, Maria. I have really enjoyed this conversation, straight from Punta Cana to our earbuds, and I hope we can catch up again in 3 to 6 months.
Sounds good, Taylor. Appreciate the invite. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do it again sometime, I hope.
I want to thank Maria once again for her fantastic take being on the ground with her husband, Todd, in Punta Cana. It's obvious Maria knows the local ins and outs of the property market, and I can't wait to get her back on the show again soon with more specific Punta Cana real estate investments she believes you need to hear about right now. If you're listening to this podcast and want to grab Maria's contact details, links on buying or selling Punta Cana real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/16. Don't forget, if you have real estate for sale, rent, or exchange, whether in Punta Cana or any place else worldwide, I invite you to list it on our site and share it with our international audience. Just head on over to irelpodcast.com/16 to get started.
You have been listening to the IREL Podcast with Taylor White. Be sure to hit up irelpodcast.com for more. That's irelpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.